So I actually set up this spread before heading out for the Thanksgiving break. I wanted to make sure to have it done because I knew that once, all the holiday festivities started and we got back home, like there would be no time for me to set up this week. So I made sure to do it on Wednesday before I headed out. And this day was super crowded with items. So all I did, luckily, I already had kind of like separated what I thought I would use for this week. It was kind of a bummer because I was hoping my December, Christmas stickers would be here by now, but they weren't. So I had to make do with some other, colors. Still went for that darker forest green, but definitely not really looking like Christmas yet. Anyways, so very quick setup. I really didn't have a lot of things to write out since I didn't know how I would be feeling after the holidays, whether I would be energized enough to get a lot of things done. So I prefer to leave it fairly blank and give myself that breathing room in case I needed a little bit of extra time to just recuperate after spending all the time with like family and setups and dinners. So I gave myself that little breathing room. I did change my habit tracker this week. I put it up in a different section. You guys will see a little bit more on that further out, but this was essentially how it ended up. So not too busy, fairly quick. And the main reason for that was because Wednesday was the day we were going to head out. The last day we were going to be home before heading out. So I had to wrap up all the work that I had to do, set up the dog so he can be nice and cozy while we were gone, and also clean out my car because it was just time for it. So I went ahead and took off all the stuff that was not supposed to be there and gave it a quick vacuum. I also found a way to squeeze in a trip to TJ Maxx because there were a couple of outfits that I wanted to see if I could find for the weekend holiday. And last but not least, I found myself packing last minute, of course, as always. Luckily, I already had our little outfits planned out, but I still had to put everything together. So, as you can see, very busy day. So, with that said, I just wanted to share that I decided to divide this setup into two sections. So my first one was just like my pre-setup, and the second part will kind of like go more into depth as to the additional things that I decided to add for this week. So very much in my older fashion, my focus is still here, but this time instead of drawing a line or highlighting the section, I just changed it into this cursive larger font that would still stand out. And then I am trying to still track my wake up and go to sleep times just because I know that after the holidays, it's hard for me to get back into schedule. And this is a really good indicator of how well I'm doing getting back into my rhythm. I already did my work. I always like to start off with my actual virtual work before I start recording. So once the essentials are done, which is the focus, login time, and just updating my work things, I like to start in putting in the tasks. In the past, whenever I've tried to put down like the breakdown of my tasks, I noticed that it was hard for me to fit everything in here. So now I've learned to just keep the highlights of every task that needs to be done or major items that I don't want to forget. So in this case, one of which is that I need to prep for my meeting. And let me just go ahead and put in my boxes so I just have to write. Now I am also going to check what boxes I still have pending from up here and see if there's anything I might as well just transfer to Thursday. So overall, we're doing very well. The only things I had to add were additional laundry tasks for today. Now on this section, I have the things that I would like to get done this week that don't necessarily have a day to be done, but that I would still like to complete. So I briefly check if there are any tasks on this end that I can add for the current day. To stay up to date, I also like to remember to finish up my habit trackers. So now that Wednesday is definitely complete, I can check off everything that was pending. So that's essentially my process for updating my weekly spread. And once I do finish adding in the important things, I always like to give it a quick look over and see if there's anything inspiring that I would like to add. And in this case, I have reserved these two sections for text, or how I like to say quotes or thoughts. So I am going to write in this part right here something that I found on Pinterest yesterday, which I thought was really cute. It is something that I have come upon with before, but I just like the thought so much that I'm going to go ahead and squeeze it in right here. What I decided to write was this Pinterest picture, which read, "I saw a post say, if we include our children, it might slow us down. But maybe that's the point. And now that's all I think about." So once that weekly planning is complete, then I typically like to actually break down my tasks either on a note paper or the current daily sheets that I'm using. And in this case, I decided to break them up on my Day Designer, which you all know is one of my favorite things to use. And this time I actually got ahead on setting up my daily planner page before my weekly planning, but this is essentially the outcome and how these two work together. I suppose you can call this like my brainstorming, and then this would be my actual action plan. So I hope you all enjoy this extended weekly setup, and I'll see you here for the next one.